Police officials are working with an organization in Phoenix, Arizona, in order to do stings on those that work in the sex industry. So they've been targeting sex workers for a while now, and what they do is they pressure them to go to church if they don't want to go to jail. Now, the organization that they're working with is something known as Project Rose, and it's actually led by ASU, Arizona State University. And part of the problem is it pressures these women to go to a religious program before they've even been convicted of doing anything wrong. Now, let me give you some more details, and this is according to Vice. In 5 two-day stings, more than 100 police officers targeted alleged sex workers on the street and online. They brought them in handcuffs to the Bethany Bible Church. There, the sex workers were forced to meet with prosecutors, detectives, and representatives of Project Rose, who offered a diversion program to those who qualified. In the Bethany Bible Church, those arrested were not allowed to speak to lawyers. Despite the handcuffs, they were not officially arrested at all. So again, they're not officially arrested, they're not convicted of anything, but they're basically told at that point when they're meeting with these detectives and these law enforcement officials that, hey, you know what, you can go to this so-called diversion program, which is religious in nature, or we can press charges, prosecute you, and you could end up behind bars.
This is insanity. It was a really great story by Vice and Al Jazeera, who also covered this. On this issue. And you might think, hey, look, instead of sending them to jail, they're giving them a program that allows them to, you know, if they had a drug issue, to get detox for that, et cetera, and then it doesn't go on their record. It could be a net overall positive thing. I understand that line of thinking, but think about this. First of all, you're forcefully bringing people into a church when they have not been arrested, right? You're handcuffing them and leading them into a church. And this program is funded largely by the government.
Yes.
First of all, they pay for the police, okay? And then second of all, they then pay an extra, what is it, $1,500 a week?
So let me give you the details on that. So aside from not allowing these women to speak to a lawyer once they go to this church, the way that this is funded is super shady. So as I said, ASU, Arizona State University, is running this organization. So can ASU receive public funds? Absolutely, because it's a public institution. But then they're funneling it toward a religious program. Most of the costs are absorbed by taxpayers paying the salaries of the officers carrying out the raids. $1,500 per day goes to Bethany Bible Church.
Per day?
Per day. It's insane. And volunteers fill in the gaps, including students from Arizona State University.
So they're having the students participate in this crazy nonsense program too. So when you look at it that way, you've set up an incentive structure for people who want to get paid. What are they going to do? They're going to round up prostitutes, which they actually might not have done otherwise, to bring them to the church. The church is incentivized to get that $1,500 a day. The cops are incentivized. Everybody's incentivized to go hassle these people. Now, look, prostitution is illegal in that state. But understand that the cops and the prosecutors all the time make discretionary calls on how much resources to dedicate to different crimes in the state. Now, we here at the Young Turks, we think prostitution shouldn't be illegal. We think it should be legal. But even if the state of Arizona doesn't agree with us on that, you might think that perhaps directing their resources towards murder, rape, robbery, et cetera, might be the better way to go. And perhaps they would if there wasn't all this funding to go round up these prostitutes and literally, almost in this case, since they're not technically under arrest, kidnapping them and putting them inside a church. That's crazy. That's obviously intermingling the church and state and massively unconstitutional.
Absolutely. And just to give you a better sense of how religious this diversion program is, it's referred to as dignity diversion, and it's a 36-hour class that's run by Catholic charities. So again, you shouldn't be funding a religious program. And also, in Arizona, they have really big issues with the way that they criminalize people for prostitution. So for instance, Monica Jones is a trans woman who got arrested because apparently she went into a stranger's car after partying one night. She was out one night. And if you ask an undercover cop whether or not they're an undercover cop, you get arrested. Which is absurd.
The technical thing you're getting arrested for is amazing. It's called manifesting prostitution. Not actually doing the prostitution, manifesting it. So one of the things that they say is possible that you can get arrested for is if you smile and say hi to a guy. Well, then you must be a hooker.
Insane.
Okay. And they can charge you with manifesting prostitution. That's amazing! Then you give them a financial incentive to find prostitutes manifesting themselves all over the place. And Monica happened to be an activist against this law, and then conveniently she gets arrested based on this law, and then there she is, right? With the broad powers that they have. And one of the people who's the biggest advocates for this is Dr. Dominique Rose Sepowitz, right? She teaches that once you've prostituted, you can never not have prostituted. She says having that many body parts in your body parts, having that many body fluids near you, and doing things that are freaky and weird really messes up your ideas of what a relationship looks like and intimacy.
And think about it, she's running this program. So you're supposed to help reform these sex workers, and you do so by making them feel guilty about what they did in the past, by telling them that once you've been a prostitute, you're always going to be a prostitute. That's great social work there. Congratulations.
Yeah. And by the way, that's religion 101 right there. Once you're tainted for life, right? And that doesn't help those girls. It doesn't help to create less prostitution. All it does is religious proselytizing, which you shouldn't do in the college. You certainly shouldn't do it with public funds, and you shouldn't basically kidnap people, put them in handcuffs, and put them in a church basement and say, here, go get them, right?
Exactly.